ready.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Play to Win podcast, a show where we break down the week's biggest gaming news through in-depth discussions. My name is Tyler, and I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Keiran. Keiran, man, how's it going? What's going on with you?
It's going pretty good. Nothing much really going on this week. Fairly chill, actually.
A fairly chill week? That's nice. You deserve a fairly chill week. You know, you got your vaccine today too, right?
Yeah, I had my first dose of the COVID vaccine earlier today, so next one's in about 12 weeks.
Oh, wait, 12 weeks?
Yep.
Jeez, I thought it was like about 3 weeks waiting period before you had to get another one.
No, the nurse that I had today said it'll be about 12 weeks before my next one.
Geez, so 3 months?
Apparently.
That's a long time. Okay, then.
Yeah.
Well, then. I'm going to be getting, I don't know when I'm going to get my shot. I'm going to make my appointment this coming Tuesday. I'm going to try to make my appointment this coming Tuesday because that's when I'll be eligible. And I am very much ready to get my shots and vaccines and all like that. That way I can be safe and kind of put myself at ease, you know, and be able to enjoy the free world again.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be fully vaccinated.
It's good times, exciting times on the horizon. Hopefully, you know, we're starting to round the bend on this, turn the corner on all this, get to a better place in all things.
I hope so.
I know. I want to be able to do fun stuff again outside.
I know.
Especially since it's about to be summertime. Like, oh, come on. Please let it happen. But yes, he's had a good week. I had a pretty good week too. Kind of a busy week. Not the busiest week at work, really. Kind of a busy week, but also just busy in terms of just finding time to do stuff once I get back home and everything. You know how life is and everything. Been watching that show Invincible. I don't know if you have Amazon Prime Video, but I was watching that this week.
I don't know. I think the family TV, my dad's account is signed in, so that show's been on my radar. I'm definitely gonna be watching that at some point.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. The first episode sets the tone for the entire show, and I will leave it at that. I'll leave it at that right there for you.
I started watching something on Netflix, and I can't remember what it was.
I wonder what it was. If you remember, let me know. Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it. It's like a supernatural Victorian London Sherlock Holmes program.
Huh. I gotta look into that then. Unless it's something that only UK Netflix has, not US Netflix.
I don't know
either. But yes, definitely let me know when you start watching Invincible. That way we can talk about it. It's a cool show.
Yeah.
That being said, this is, again, Play to Win podcast. This week, we have a couple fun things to talk about. But before we get into all of that stuff, remember to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at P2Win.
P2 Win Game.
See, I'm trying to remember it. I'm still trying to get it in my head that that's what it is. Follow us Twitter and Instagram at P2Win Game for updates on the show and any new videos that we post up. And also subscribe to us here on YouTube and other podcast services. That way you can you're up to date on all the content. And remember, when you subscribe on YouTube, turn on notifications as well, so you're one of the first people to know when videos go live. Yesterday, Keiran posted a video on the channel about why this is just like the best time to be in the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's about like a 10-ish minute video or so. I haven't got a chance to watch it yet, but when I saw that that's what it was, I was like, are you like a psychic? Because this is like the perfect time for this video to come out. Literally the perfect day for that video to come out.
Yeah.
So yeah, give that video a watch. Keiran, do you got anything to say about it?
It's a good. Well, I think it's a good video, but no, it's I'm fairly proud of the title. It's not easy being green. But no, I said in the video, but I just kind of want to reiterate that that video was kind of inspired by Phil Spencer now being head of Xbox for 7 years as of the 31st of March. So yeah, Xbox would not be around today without Phil Spencer. I'll put it that way.
I definitely agree. I just realized my microphone was also like not directly in front of me for like the past few minutes. So apologies if my audio was not the best for like the past 2-3 minutes or so, but
it's fine.
it's right here. It's right here in front of me. I feel like I was able to be heard well enough before. But yes, you are 100% right. Microsoft is in a way better place now thanks to him. Definitely go give that video a watch if you have not seen it over on YouTube. Play to Win Games. This week on the podcast, we are going to be talking about a couple different things. First off, we're going to talk about how Microsoft has been, on a roll with good news all around, really. Then we'll talk about, E3 2021 plans. We've kind of talked about it before, but a little bit of some new information has come about this week. And we're also talking about CDPR in their strategy update that they released earlier this week and some of the new things that they're going to be doing, as well as some other things. Before we get into those main big topics, though, we had a few brief mentions to go over, just real quick things, just that we want to address and bring to your attention. First off, being that the PlayStation Plus games for April have been announced. They are Oddworld Soulstorm, which we already knew about. That is a PS5 only game for PlayStation Plus next month. This is the game that, we've seen a couple times at State of Plays and PS5 events and everything like that. It is launching next month through PlayStation Plus. So great for the game, gives more eyes on it and all like that. The other two games for the month are Days Gone and Zombie Army 4 Dead War. I've played Days Gone. I think it's a pretty good game. It's a bit longer than it needs to be honest, but still a good game overall. Zombie Army 4 Dead War, I've never played. Keiran, have you ever played it?
Nope, never played a Zombie Army game.
Yeah, neither have I. But I read the synopsis or breakdown, like what the game is, the overview. It sounds so bizarre and wacky, but you know what? I think I'm gonna give it a shot because why not? Why not?
I mean, it's free. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. So those are the PlayStation Plus games for April, and they are available from April 6th to May 3rd. Also, a reminder that if you have not downloaded Destruction All-Stars yet from PlayStation Plus, you have to do it before April 6th because once April 6th hits, Destruction All-Stars will no longer be in PlayStation Plus, and you will have to pay for the game. So keep that in mind if you have not jumped on it yet. And remember, as always, the March games are going to be gone come April 6th as well. So jump on those if you have yet to do so already. Brief mention number 2, we have official confirmation now that the PlayStation Store for PS3, Vita, and PSP will be shutting down. For PS3 and PSP, it's shutting down July 2nd of this year. For the Vita, it's shutting down August 27th of this year. On PlayStation website, they have like a blog page, like kind of like an FAQ page about like discontinued services and features and stuff for the PlayStation. And they have a section here where they basically announced the store closures and all, breaking down like things you can and can't do once it's happened. So once the closures happen, you'll still be able to re-download and play previously purchased game titles or video media content. You can still redeem any game vouchers or PlayStation Plus vouchers, and you can still re-download and play any PlayStation Plus titles that you claimed as long as you're still a member of the service. But once the stores are gone, you won't be able to buy any more PS3, Vita, or PSP digital content, regardless of whether it's games or videos. You won't be able to make in-app purchase, in-game purchases. My mistake. In-game purchases through games on any of the systems, and you won't be able to redeem any of the wallet gift card voucher things. You won't be able to redeem any of those on PS3, PS Vita, or PSP once the store closes for those devices, and you won't be able to actually buy anything for any of those devices at all on the store. Your money that you have in your wallet for PSN is still going to be there, but you'll only be able to use it on PS4 and PS5. You won't be able to use it on those older consoles. So it's like we said last week, it's a sad thing to see happen, but it's a silver line that you're still able to access the things that you already previously bought.
Yeah.
If you have these devices, especially if you have like the PSP Go, which was a digital only PSP, like that would have sucked if you couldn't. So it's great that you're still able to go to the stores, and anything that you already had, you could get it now. Well, you'll still be able to get it once the stores close. That's good at the very least. Keiran, you got any thoughts on it before we bounce on out of this brief mention here?
No, I mean, I think we mentioned it, or you mentioned it last week, that, I mean, this just is a further argument for physical, and that, I mean, we also said this last week, that you never technically own the game, you own a license for the game, whether that be physical on a disc or digital, but, they can't come to your house and take your physical games away from you. But it's nice that they're not doing that so much with, like, the digital games. You can still, like, re-download games you've previously purchased, but you can't then go and buy any new games or make any in-game purchases through those platforms. So it's sad times. And I think we also touched on this last week, that I wish PlayStation were doing a bit more in terms of backwards compatibility, so that you could kind of preserve games for a bit longer. But yeah, sad times.
Yeah, and a bit of extra like information around this came out this week, that apparently I didn't fully read the stories, but I saw people briefly talking about it on Twitter, that apparently like devs that were making games for the Vita, they weren't given a heads up on this closure happening at all.
Oh.
They found out at the same time that all of us did. So I believe that some of them are either like trying to rush to get their game out before the stores close, or they're just straight up canceling their games because they're like, all right, well, it's not gonna be done in time. So like devs definitely got shafted here on this. It's sad for a number of reasons. There's a silver lining, but overall it's still just a sad times. Sad times.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that devs were given prior notice. I feel like that would have been the fair thing to do, is at least give them some heads up that, hey, we're going to be closing your stores, so either get your game out fast or cancel it. But I don't think it's really fair on them that that's happening to them, because I mean, games take years to make, so that could potentially be years of someone's life now just wasted.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
Moving on to our final brief mention, which is also a sad one here. Keiran, we're saying rest in peace to basically the PS3, Vita, PSP generation, because they're essentially being cut off. They're essentially dead now. We also have to say rest in peace to one more icon, one more legend. Mario is dead.
Yep.
Mario is dead. He is gone. March 31st, Nintendo killed him. I don't know what Luigi plans to do now. I think Luigi has been promoted as a player one. Peach, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. Bowser, you're going to have to find a new rival. I don't know if Luigi's the guy for you. He seems to be going up against Ghost all the time. So maybe find someone else, Bowser. Yeah. I'm not sure. Nintendo, they got other sources of revenue. They got Zelda, they got Animal Crossing. Maybe now they'll bring out F-Zero to, maybe try and fill the void of Mario. I don't know if F-Zero's enough. Maybe they break out F-Zero and Earthbound and, try to redeem Star Fox again. We could need 3 franchises to fill the Mario void. Perhaps that's what they do. But
I mean, 2 things. One, I'm very convinced that this was a plot by Luigi all along to kill Mario. And 2, yes. I mean, Nintendo have Splatoon. They'll be fine.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's right. Splatoon is here. You know what? Actually, Nintendo has Splatoon, Earthbound, F-Zero, and Star Fox. They will stay dead. They're not coming back. Splatoon is here. Splatoon supremacy.
Yeah, who wants Metroid 4? Everyone's after Splatoon 3.
Right, exactly. It doesn't matter.
No, of course not.
So yeah, Mario, he's gone. Sorry, fans. Link is taking over now. It's now Link's world. We just live in it. But those are our brief mentions. Quick little stories. Not big enough to have big real discussions about, but just a little something we wanted to bring up. for the first news story of this week, first main one, it is about Microsoft. Microsoft has been on just a roll lately. I would say from March to now, they've just been like on this like roll of just one good thing after another good thing after another good thing. Regardless of how I may feel about it, such as like the Bethesda stuff, I can't deny that it's great for them. I can't deny that,
Yeah.
you know? And then, so we had like, I guess what, Bethesda at the beginning of the month. And then around the middle near the end, we got Outriders coming to Game Pass and all. I think I'm probably missing a few things in the month, but it's been a bunch of good news. And that just continued this week with two news stories. First one being that backwards compatibility is going to be coming to xCloud. Microsoft announced this earlier this week on their Xbox Wire blog. I could not find the link for that for some reason, so I just have this IGN article here from Matt Purslow saying, Microsoft has announced that 16 backwards compatibility games from the Xbox Game Pass library have been added to the Xbox Cloud Gaming Service, including Oblivion, Morrowind, and Fallout New Vegas. The 16 games are from across the original Xbox and Xbox 360 libraries and includes some classic Microsoft first-party games as well as Bethesda games recently added to Game Pass as part of the publisher's acquisition by Microsoft. All of them can now be played on Android devices streamed via the cloud. And the list is Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Double Dragon Neon, Fable 2, Fallout New Vegas, Gears of War 2, 3, and Judgment, Jetpack Refueled with touch controls, Cameo, Perfect Dark 0, Elder Scrolls Morrowind, Oblivion, Viva Pinata, and Viva Pinata TIP, both with touch controls enabled. This is cool.
Tyler, gaming trivia question for you. What does TIP stand for?
What does TIP stand for? I don't know.
It's Trouble in Paradise.
Why wouldn't they just write that out?
I don't know. But,
is that how it's written on the Xbox Wire posts? I forgot.
I didn't read the Xbox Wire post, but no, it's Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise, which I believe came out in 2008.
Okay. Why wouldn't they just say? Okay, regardless, doesn't matter. Not a big deal. But no, yeah, this is great. You know, it just adds more. It adds more value. I don't want to say value to xCloud, although it does, but it's really cool that you're adding backwards compatibility games to it now. Originally, it was just Xbox One and Xbox Series X games that are there.
Yeah.
Now we're adding older gen games, so you could, as I think I saw either Microsoft say or someone say, kind of turning your mobile device into a retro gaming device, which is cool.
Yeah.
What do you think about all this?
I'm very excited. I don't really use xCloud myself because I don't have the connection for it. Even though I do have fairly fast Wi-Fi, I can't get 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi in my house for some reason. So xCloud is always really laggy for me, but that's more of my internet issue and not the service.
Yeah.
But no, it's really good that you're gonna be able to play all of these games on the go now. I did have a quick thought reading down this list. It's like, I wonder if they're hinting that we might be getting like a new Viva Pinata game and a new like Fallout New Vegas, because like we're getting a new Fable, we're getting a new Gears, we're getting a new Perfect Dark, getting a new Elder Scrolls. But I don't know. I think that just might be my brain reading too far into it. But yeah, really good news.
I think maybe it is. I think this was just I think this was more so it's easier to get, first party titles. And I've never heard of Jetpack Refueled. I'm guessing that's a first party title. I don't know. Double Dragon isn't.
I think
right?
it is.
Double Dragon Neon, that's not a first party title. I don't believe that's Microsoft owned IP or anything like that. But most of these are, first party titles here. It's easier to just grab those and put them on the service as opposed to, I imagine, having to maybe talk with third parties about putting their backwards compatible ones into cloud gaming, I imagine. But also, let's get the more popular backwards compatibility games that we have and just like toss them in there. These are the ones that we know people like. Let's put them in there, make it easy. But no, this is definitely really cool.
It is, yeah. Jetpack Refueled. It was Xbox Game Studios published and developed by
Oh.
Ultimate Play the Game, is the developer.
Wow. Alrighty then. So yeah, I guess Microsoft first. I guess it says they published it again. Easy for them to do, but I
Yeah.
think it was very interesting having this news break. Either I believe it was the same day or like the day before or after the news about like Sony officially stating that they're closing the stores. Like it was a contrast of sorts. Like yes, Microsoft's already been doing the backwards compatibility stuff, but it's like, hey, we're closing our stores. Hey, we're bringing backwards compatibility to xCloud for cloud streaming now, and it was something. It was the start this week of just like putting a cloud over both, like showing the contrast between two different companies and how they approach things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I understand Sony's not so focused on backwards compatibility mainly because of just how difficult it is to port PS3 games over. I wish they would do it more with PS1 and PS2 titles, but no, I said in my video yesterday, I'm loving what Microsoft is doing with back compat. It's a really really good time.
No, yeah, it definitely is. And like backwards, like Jim Ryan from PlayStation, I believe he's president of Sony Interactive Entertainment. I don't remember. I don't
Yes.
know his exact title, but yeah, president, CEO, Sony Interactive Entertainment. He's stated in the past about his thoughts on backwards compatibility and how, he's like, it's a feature that many people ask for, but not something that many people use that when they ask for it. And he's also looked at games from like back in the days. Just like, man, like why would anyone want to play this? Like it just looks ancient and all. It looks terrible. So I was like, I imagine that a big part of why Sony isn't so bullish on backwards compatibility stems from him at the top. And again, PS3 backwards compatibility, I'm sure it's a pain, which is why a lot of those games are only available through PlayStation Now. For streaming and all like that. It's a thing where like he actually says, I would love it if it was possible. I probably wouldn't use it that much though, to be honest. I think it's more a thing of I would like to use it to play games that I didn't get to play from back then, not play games that I already have. Because like there are a select few games I have from like the PS3 generation that I would like to play. Like the original Mirror's Edge. I would love to play that. I don't want to have to plug in my PS3 to do that. And also both my controllers like have button issues. So I would have to find either get a new PS3 controller or use my PS4 controller with my PS3 and hope that it works just fine. So it would be a bit of a hassle. So it'd be nice to do that with some games. But like Final Fantasy 13, that whole trilogy, I never played it. I want to. I can't because it's only on PS3. It's not in PlayStation Now. And Square has yet to do a remaster for it, which I'm actually very surprised by. So if I was to, the easiest way for me to do it would be, to just get the PS3 version and then plug my PS3 back in and all. Or, which I've thought about, when I get a Series X, just get the 360 copy and pop it in the system. Since that works.
Yeah, I was checking Mirror's Edge is on Game Pass. That's also a game I haven't played. I do want to go back and play that.
You'll love it. It's so great.
I'm actually planning to go back and play Morrowind because it's a game I've never played. It was out way before I was into gaming. So I'm at some point I intend to go back and play Morrowind. I haven't played Oblivion either a huge amount, so I'll probably go back and play that as well. But no, I really like that Microsoft is taking the approach of we're gonna just keep everything that you've had before. You can use everything that you've had before on your new console, and it's gonna like massively take advantage of the hardware. So it's gonna run at higher frame rates. We're gonna add HDR to it. We're gonna make sure that it's like the best possible way to play this game. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with it in the future, to see if they add any more crazy features like auto HDR or FPS boost. But I'm very very excited to see what they have in store for back compat in the future. And I'm very excited to go back and play games I didn't get the chance to.
Yeah, I imagine that they're already working on bringing, you know, those new features to the backwards compatibility games and to more backwards compatibility games. And I imagine that, you know, I imagine we'll get an announcement of more backwards compatibility games coming to xCloud when the service is available for PC and iOS. Because I said that earlier this week. That would just be like perfect marketing right there. Yeah. It's like, hey, the service is coming to 2 more platforms. And, you know, like there's more games for Game Pass, and we're adding more backwards compatible games to xCloud as well. Like it will just work on so many levels. So whenever that happens, like last time they talked about, they said it was happening this spring. We are officially in spring, and that runs until the end of June. So at some point in the coming months, I wouldn't be surprised if we get an announcement or 2 announcements about more back compatible games coming to the xCloud service. But that's not the end of Microsoft's big, great news week that they had. The biggest announcement of the week, possibly, I don't want to say month, year, but it's been Microsoft's been big headlines. So we already knew MLB The Show 21 was coming to Xbox. We've known that since the deal was first announced, I think a year or 2 ago, that the series is going to be expanding to other platforms. And earlier this year, or I think it was end of last year, I'm pretty sure it was early this year, like the game was officially announced, and it's like, yeah, it's coming to Xbox. I think they said PC as well, but coming to Xbox. So that's cool. We all knew that. What we did not know and did not expect was that MLB The Show 21 will be coming to Game Pass, but it's not just coming to Game Pass. It is coming to Game Pass on day 1 of release, which is absolutely insane. I'm telling you, when I was at work and I saw Microsoft's tweet. They were like, I forgot what it was. It was one video of like, you know, them turning on the Series X, and then you hear baseball sounds in the background, which I had seen that tweet before, but the Game Pass account tweeted it, and they said, it's been a while since we teased something. And I was like, yeah, wait, what? So I clicked on it and I was like, wait, huh? And then I read the articles, and MLB The Show 21 coming to Game Pass at launch, which is insane. Before I get into just how and why, Keiran, what were your thoughts when you saw this, read it, whatever?
I saw the tweet that the Game Pass Twitter account put out, and I watched the video, and I'm like, all right, it sounds like a baseball game. This means nothing to me. I don't enjoy sports games. But when they announced that it was this game coming to Game Pass, I hadn't really looked into this game before. I knew of its existence, but again, I don't play sports games, so I hadn't really kept up with it. But seeing how big this game is and how many people are excited for it, this is similar to Outriders, a very huge win for Game Pass. I think that's just the underlying thing here is, I mean, we had said when we were talking about Outriders coming to Game Pass day 1, that I hope that this is just first in a long line of Microsoft bringing, like, you know, big AAA releases to Game Pass day 1, and here we are, like 2 or 3 weeks later, they announced another one. Also, another kind of note is coming to Game Pass are the standard Xbox One and Xbox Series X/S versions. So you are, no matter what platform you're on, you are getting the best version of that game included in Game Pass day 1.
Right, and I actually had a little talk with someone about that yesterday, because I saw someone had tweeted out that on PS4, if you want both versions of the game, you need to pay $84.99, you know, for the special edition. And I was like, and I responded, I said, well, that's true, yeah, but the case is also the same on Xbox. Like, if you want to have both versions of the game, you still need to pay $84.99. Like, yes, both versions are in Game Pass for right now, but that only applies if you have one console or the other, right? So, like, if you basically, the game doesn't support smart delivery, so it's not like when the game is out of Game Pass that you're just good to go. You don't have to worry about, you know, that you have both versions automatically, because you still don't. You still would need to have. You still need to pay the $84.99 if you want both versions of the game. Yeah. But I was talking with someone about that wording, and the wording honestly was a bit confusing, because we were trying to talk about it and all. And he was saying that, yeah, it is smart delivery because they said that. I was like, well, no, it's not smart delivery because they didn't say the word specifically smart delivery. If it was, they would have said that. But two, what they're saying is that, and this is why I was trying to wrap my head around it, is that it is both the Xbox One version and the next gen version is on Game Pass, which, correct me if I'm wrong, since you have an Xbox and all, this would mean that when you go onto Game Pass, it would have both of them like signifying which one is which, I'm guessing. So if you're on Xbox One and you go in, you download it, it would say like Xbox One version. Or if you're on next gen, it'll be like, oh, this is the Series X version, and you download it. Correct?
I don't know. It'll either be two separate versions and say this is the Xbox One version, this is the Series X version, or it will be one version, and when you install it, it will detect what hardware you're installing on and install the most upgraded version. So if you're on Xbox One, it'll install the Xbox One version. Same for Series X.
Right. So like, it's like smart delivery, but it's not. The way they're wording it,
basically,
it's not like smart delivery, although it's not smart delivery for this game, which is where it got confusing. So then, like, the game also has like cross save as well, like cross progression. So if you play it on old gen and then get it on next gen, your stuff carries over as well. So like, the only way to make this actually smart delivery-esque is if you get the game on Game Pass while you have old and next gen consoles.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was away to say. The only way I could see this being smart delivery is if you have an Xbox One when this game comes to Game Pass, then a week and a half, 2 weeks later, you get your Series X and you install this game, it will install the upgraded version instead of the Xbox One version.
Right. And like, the game itself has cross progression. It's not like the Series X isn't bringing over your save stuff and everything. So like, again, that's why it's like, it's not smart delivery. It's really weird. And we were trying to talk about it, and it was confusing, even me trying to find a way to explain it to the guy and all like that. Regardless though, it's still very cool. It's very good news. And it's big news because, like you said, it's another AAA game coming to the service day one. But it's not just that it's a AAA game coming to the service day one. It's the fact that it's a Sony PlayStation Studios developed first party game. Well, not first party, but Sony's studios developed game coming to the service day one. Now, for years, MLB The Show has been PlayStation exclusive. In order for PlayStation to keep the license, they had to work out a deal with MLB to allow the series to be multi-platform. Cool, is what it is. No one's really stressed about it, but on the PlayStation side, because it's just a sports game. It's not like it's Last of Us or God of War or any of the heavy hitters. Although MLB The Show apparently is a underdog heavy hitter, like an unknown heavy hitter on the PlayStation side of things. But it's the fact that it's one of those. It's a PlayStation developed first party title coming to Game Pass day one. And it's not, on any service day one for PlayStation players. Now, personally, for me, I don't care because I don't play sports games.
Yeah.
And personally, for me, I don't think that it is the biggest deal. I don't think it's too big, but it is terrible. It is a bad look entirely on the PlayStation side of things. It is a bad look having a game that your own studio developed end up being free through Game Pass day one on your competitor's platform, while the people on your platform have to pay for it. Which is that's a bad look. Like, I don't think this game, the reason I say I don't think it's that big a deal is because I don't think this game would be the one to cause the biggest uproar. Like, it'll cause uproar.
Oh, no.
Like, it'll cause uproar and get like responses from people that like MLB The Show, or just people in the industry, that follow all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not like, again, like a Last of Us or a God of War, a game like of that caliber, where it comes to another platform, it's like free over there, but you guys gotta kind of have to pay over here. Then it would be a way bigger deal. You get what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, it's not like you say, it's not God of War, it's not The Last of Us, it's not Horizon Forbidden West. It's a sports game that is a lot less high profile than those games are, and not I can't see a huge amount of people having an issue with it. I mean, I've seen the extremist Sony fanboys on Twitter complaining about it, but I'll leave them be over there. But no, it's definitely not a big deal. I mean, PlayStation's still getting the game. It's just people who are subscribed to Game Pass just by happenstance get it for free. And I mean, besides, I imagine to get this game in Game Pass day one, Microsoft paid a rather large amount of money.
Yeah, and you see, that's the thing. Interestingly enough, if you go to the games page on Microsoft's website, it's published by Sony on PlayStation, but it's not published by Sony or Microsoft on Xbox. On the Xbox side of things, it's being published by MLB, which automatically which added fuel to the theory I had, which was that obviously it coming to Game Pass was not a Sony decision.
Oh no,
it very clearly was not. Like, I was like, all right, this most definitely had to be like a decision made by MLB. Like, MLB called the shots on this one since it's their IP, their license. You know, they're the ones who kind of like working this deal out with Sony to have it on other platforms. I was like, this had to be MLB calling the shots. But seeing that it's MLB publishing it on Xbox is what leads me to believe that Microsoft and MLB made this deal, and that it wasn't Sony had no say in this at all.
Yeah.
Now, and because of that, it just makes it look even worse. It's like, you guys didn't have a say in this. Okay, we don't have any official confirmation on this, but it's like Sony it's their studio developing the game. They had no say in it coming to Game Pass. MLB called the shots on this. And it's like, man, your license creator, whatever, just kind of threw dirt in your face.
Basically, yeah. I can't imagine that this is a good time for PlayStation, because of like we've talked about, games coming to Game Pass day one, but you still have to buy it on PlayStation even though it's developed by PlayStation, and the MLB are publishing on Xbox, which I agree with you. I don't think Sony had any part in this deal whatsoever, which doesn't surprise me, to be honest, because I imagine if Microsoft went to Sony and said, hey, can we put this in Game Pass day one, they would be like, no. So
exactly. Yeah, I've seen people say though that this could perhaps be a way for Sony to look at how it performs in Game Pass and how it performs outside of Game Pass, and then kind of use that as a way to kind of see if, hey, maybe we should do a subscription service like this, because they've already previously said in past interviews, again, Jim Ryan, I don't have it pulled up right in front of me, but I know he said before that they don't see the sustainability and creating the big AAA games that they do and putting them out day one on a subscription service, you know, just for everyone to play right away without having to pay full price for it. Like, he doesn't see the sustainability in it, and that they have no plans to do anything like that. Granted, they've been putting some games day one in PlayStation Plus, you know, Destruction All-Stars, Odd World's coming up. Granted, that's not first party, but they don't see the sustainability in it. So some people say perhaps this could be a way for them to kind of see how MLB performs. Granted, again, MLB is a lower stakes game than any of the other big name AAA titles, but it could be a way for them to see how it performs and then maybe make a change in plans. Maybe say, all right, this did well. Maybe we should test this out on our end some more and see how things go.
Yeah, I mean, I think PlayStation eventually have to come, and not like the exact same model as Game Pass, but something vaguely similar. Maybe not like launching your big games day and day into the service. But I mean, I've done the math before. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but Game Pass makes anywhere, I think it's from like $125 to $220 million a month with how many people are subscribed to it. And if you look at how many copies The Last of Us 2 sold in the first month, I think it was something like 8 million. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head. I know it sold 4 million in the first 2 days. But like, if you times like say it sold 10 million in the month of its release, and it's $70 a game, then that's what $700 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you then, yeah, that math's right. Yeah, if you then take like 3 or 4 months of Game Pass, then you've made made that same amount of money. So I don't think that the reason PlayStation aren't doing it is because it isn't sustainable. Because Microsoft, like I say, are like I mean, obviously they're not making 125 to 220 million dollars a month, because they'll have games they need to pay for, people they need to pay, things they need to pay out of that money. But I imagine they are making fairly good bank out of Game Pass. So I don't think it's an unsustainable model. I think it might be slightly unsustainable the format it is now. But when they add, Ubisoft, and they start doing multiple layers, you can choose what you want, then I think it becomes a bit more long term.
Possibly. And I think maybe Sony might see it as being more unsustainable since, as we all know, they do not have the wallet that Microsoft does. Like, Microsoft performed a $7.5 billion purchase of Bethesda. They're apparently about to buy Discord for $10 billion at the very least. They're making these big Game Pass deals. Like, Microsoft has a wallet, and they're throwing that money around, like, because they can do that. Yeah. They're just able to. Sony, on the other hand, does not have the money to be able to do that. So while it might be sustainable for Microsoft, Sony might not be able to, take losses on Game Pass, on a Game Pass-like service, for as long as Microsoft may be doing that before they can see a profit with Game Pass. You get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I always forget that Xbox is, don't forget, but it always kind of slips my mind when I'm thinking about this stuff, that Microsoft owns Xbox, and they are a $1 trillion company. So they have, like, if they want to go and throw $50 billion at something, then they absolutely can. So, and whereas Sony, again, I don't have these numbers on the top of my head, but I was doing some research for a thing I was writing a few months ago, and I think Sony is like a $90 billion company in total. Maybe slightly more. So, I mean, they definitely can't afford to go and, throw $10-15 billion at something just willy-nilly.
Yeah, exactly. But it's definitely an interesting look. I mean, PlayStation Plus has been putting some games day one on it. And as we said before, I definitely foresee them continuing to do that throughout the next couple months, if not year or two. And then perhaps maybe that then evolves into games, like first-party games launching in PlayStation Plus the month that they come out. Or perhaps it evolves into PlayStation Now becoming bigger than it is, and them expanding PlayStation Now from the streaming and download service that it is into, hey, we're going to put our first-party games here day one. Because that would get me to subscribe to PlayStation Now if they did that. Like, PlayStation Now is a cool service. I never use it, though, because at first, it was only streaming and the price was ridiculous. But then they dropped the price and made it so you could download games as well, which is cool. I just haven't felt a need to jump in on it. But if they did that, I would for sure jump in on it and take advantage. But I think I would still also want to buy my games at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on the game. For example, Returnal's coming up. And I've been going back and forth in my head if I actually want to buy that game or not. If it was in Game Pass, if it was in like a PlayStation Now, I would play it for sure. Because that's a game I wouldn't care about owning or not. Whereas if it's Last of Us Part 2 or Part 3, let's say, that's the game where I would be like, do I want to pay it? Do I want to like own it myself? Or do I want to just do it through PlayStation Now? Knowing me, I'd probably still pay the $70 because I like to physical all day, every day.
Yeah.
But again, it would make me really question it and think about it some more. Yeah. Microsoft's really put Sony in a very interesting position. They've put a whole lot of, like, I don't want to say bad eyes on them, but they've made themselves look so good in the past month that they've been making Sony look like really bad.
Yeah.
It's sad to see.
Yeah, we're gonna leave the games with gold situation out of this conversation.
Oh, you don't want to talk about how April's games are gold involve truck racing
no.
and Dark Void, hardcore. You don't want to talk about that.
No, I'm good.
You don't want to talk about truck racing? Truck racing seems fun. Was it Extreme Truck Racing? Actually, my mistake.
Microsoft just killed games with gold already. You've basically killed it without killing it. Just either make it better or stop doing it. Simple.
Yeah, they got to work on that for sure. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about in regards to Microsoft's games of gold output, but also just the way they've been just killing it in the games industry over the past couple months and weeks.
Yep.
As the year goes on, maybe around E3 time, but E3, we've been hearing some stuff about it recently. We heard some stuff a few months ago, about like their plans for it to be an all digital event and things like that, or a digital in-person hybrid. Actually, no, it was just an all digital event. Now we got a bit more news this week about it. This comes from VGC article by Andy Robinson here, titled E3 2021 U-turns on a proposal to put some content behind a paywall. An update to this article came out afterwards saying that the ESA insists no elements of the digital event was going to require a purchase. But prior to that, article here says, Entertainment Software Association, the ESA, has seemingly U-turned on plans to put some elements of its digital E3 2021 show behind a paywall. Multiple publishing sources told VGC this month that the event organizer had pitched plans to charge a fee for some of 2021's planned content, such as on-demand game demos or a premium package with extra access. One source suggested that the premium package had been pitched to publishers at $35. However, in a statement issued after the publication of our story, the ESA provided additional comment denying it would charge for E3 content, saying, quote, I can confirm on behalf of the ESA that there will be no elements at E3 2021 that will be behind a paid-for pass or paywall, end quote, a spokesperson told VGC. In an earlier statement sent to VGC ahead of publication, the ESA said it would, quote, deliver a free experience for everyone interested in E3 2021, end quote, but didn't specifically rule out paid for features. Keiran, I mean, it seems like they are walking this back, and that it wasn't even an official, like, confirmed plan to happen. It was just an idea that they had. But it seems like they've walked this back, that they're not going to go through with it. But what do you think about the idea of E3 having either being an event that you had to pay for to get into, like as a digital event, or there being just elements of it that are behind a paywall? And let's say specifically at the $35 level.
I don't think $35 is too bad. It depends on the content. If they were putting the, like Microsoft presentation or Ubisoft presentation or whatever behind a paywall, then I wouldn't be for that, because that's basically the entire reason I watch E3. I think that's the entire reason most people watch E3, is to watch the big developer conferences, you didn't have to pay to watch those in person over the last, I can't even remember how many years. You go into those for free, I believe. I know Microsoft you did. At Microsoft you didn't have to pay for a ticket if you were in the Xbox Fan Fest, and I think they gave away a bunch of tickets as well. But if they put those behind a paywall, I wouldn't be for that. But if they put, like, if you want to watch this particular panel, if you want to have access to this particular game demo, if you want to have whatever, then that I might be a little more for. But in general, I don't think I would be behind a paywall for E3, considering, one, everyone's tight for money right now. It's the middle of a pandemic, and your event has been free for basically forever in the past to watch online. The only thing you needed a ticket for in the past for E3 is to go to the show floor and play games. But no, that being said, $35 isn't too bad. I'm sure they could charge a lot more for that, again, depending on the content.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I mean, some things I wouldn't mind paying for if it wasn't too expensive. If they offered, like you were saying in that article, if it was like a $35 all access pass, that's not terrible. I can maybe get behind that, but in general, no.
Yeah, see, I go back and forth on I go back and forth on this because I think about how I've always wanted to go to E3, like in-person event E3, and you know, for years I was obviously wasn't a possibility until fairly recently they made it so that the public could attend E3. Before that, it was strictly like a media event for the people to go to. So I forgot like what the price was. Like, I looked it up when they first announced it, but I forgot what it was. And I mean, I would have paid that if I was able to go, but obviously wasn't able to go. So I think about it, and I'm like, $35 to go to E3. It's a deal. It's a steal. I get to go to E3, see all the games that are there, go to panels, press conferences, all that stuff. $35, that's not bad. Then I think about the fact that, okay, if it's all digital, I've been watching it online for all these years for free. Why would I have to watch the stuff online for free? Strictly speaking, the press conferences. That's not talking about the keynotes. Yeah. Not talking about demos, just the press conferences. If that was behind a paywall, I would still pay it because I like E3. I like watching it all. But it would feel weird having that behind the paywall when it has not been behind a paywall all this time. Now, having demos and premium stuff behind a paywall at $35, I think is very reasonable. I don't think it's too much money at all. And I would happily pay that if it meant that I was able to have access to game demos for stuff that's on the show floor, being able to watch talks with developers and publishers and so on and so forth. Or maybe even seeing like behind closed doors demos for $35. Like, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. And I would definitely do it. But I can understand some people's hesitancy behind it, especially given a few years ago when ESA had accidentally leaked basically everyone's information. Yep. It's just like, I gotta say, a lot of people being like, you guys leaked information. I don't want to give you my information and have that happen again. But I think I would pay like the $35. What would be like your price limit on, paying to go to or to see a digital E3, for their premium experience?
Yeah. Very cool. Going back to your first point of like, I forgot what I was going to say, but going back to your first point, I would pay $350 to go to E3 in person. Like, yeah, it might be quite sad, but going to an Xbox media briefing is like the number one thing on my bucket list that I want to do before I die, 100%. But like for a digital E3, if they were putting the press conferences behind a paywall, that's where I draw a line. That's where I'm like, no, they've been free. This is basically your entire show. Everything else is just extra that most people don't care about unless you are, like us, interested in the games industry as a whole. But I mean, in terms of a limit, I'm not including the press conferences in this because I don't think they should be paid for. But yeah, I don't know, maybe $50, $60 if again, depending on the content. If they were like it's $60 to watch 3 panels, and I'll be like, no, that's ludicrous. But if they were like it's $60 all access pass, you get access to every every developer interview, every game demo. They could even offer some like behind closed doors demos, although I doubt they would do that because they're behind closed doors for a reason. But yeah, no, like maybe $50, $60 is kind of where I would draw the line. I'm not saying I wouldn't pay it because, it's E3. Of course I'm going to pay it because, it's E3. But like, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I've said it like 7 times already, depending on the content. That's my thing is like, if it's good content, if it's worth $60, fine. I'll probably pay that. If it's not, I'm out.
Well, reading more from VGC article here, we have a bit of an idea of maybe what some of their plans are for the virtual thing. Saying here, according to VGC sources, the ESA has discussed bundling some parts of its consumer offering as part of a paid access pass, which could be for the on-demand game demos or a premium package with extra access. However, at least one major games company VGC spoke to express criticism of the paywall plans and suggested that the ESA has indicated it was willing to back down on the proposal. If its recent statement is accurate, then that would appear to be the case. And then moving on down a bit, the event is now going to be rebranded as Electronic Entertainment Experience, whereas before it was called the Electronic Entertainment Expo. And VGC here, they have some lines from a pitch document that was sent to publishers. And what it has here is, quote, E3 has always served as the gaming industry's uniting force, a moment each year where the best and brightest gather to release the latest announcements and game demos in support of not only their individual objectives, but to evangelize the entire industry. In 2021, E3 is much more. Welcome to the Electronic Entertainment Experience. International, inclusive, innovative, irresistible, and in your hands wherever you live. And then the pitch also adds here, E3 2021 is not an in-person event turned virtual. E3 2021 is a vanguard and culturally significant digital tentpole for all corners of the industry and its consumers, from mobile and PC gaming to esports to watershed console and AAA debuts, all of which will generate massive mainstream attention, offer unprecedented secure game demos while accelerating your B2B, B2M, and B2C objectives, end quote. I presume those last three acronyms mean business to business, business to media, and business to consumer. That just makes sense in my head.
Yeah.
But here after that, it says the ESA's intention for the 2021 show is to hold multiple keynote sessions from game partners, broadcast some LED-clad live stage built in Los Angeles, as well as an award show, preview night, and the ability for companies to schedule meetings with media and business users via the app. However, the key feature of E3 2021's digital plans could be on-demand game demos streamed via the cloud. The ESA wants to partner with NVIDIA to power the demos using its GeForce Now platform, VGT understands, and allow E3 exhibitors to make their playable experiences available either to the general public or privately to press and business people via its app. And also, plans sent to publishers suggest the E3 app will include virtual booths containing content announced during the show, as well as merchandise stores and demos. So with all that in mind, we got virtual booths, game demos, keynote sessions, award show, preview night. I imagine those would be the things behind the premium access.
Yeah.
So for $35, would you say that's worth it?
I would, yeah. If you're getting access to everything, including on-demand game demos, absolutely. I think that's definitely worth it. My least favorite thing about E3 every year is not being able to play the games that they show, because I'm always watching it online. I'm not there in person. But I just had a picture in my mind just now of like being on my phone using like touch controls to walk around a virtual E3 show floor and then walking up to a booth and for, I don't know, say Halo Infinite or something, walking up to the Halo Infinite booth and then it just transports me into a demo for Halo Infinite. That would be very cool. I would absolutely pay $35 for that.
Yeah. Oh man, that just made me think about like, imagine being able to do it through like a VR headset. Just pop on my
that
Quest.
Would be so much fun.
And like I'm literally on the E3 show floor.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be cool. That'd be really awesome. But yeah, that E3 says, that they're gonna be announcing their plans very soon, formally announcing their plans for the digital E3. And I mean, it's April now. June is 2 months away. No, that's correct. My bad. I was about to say that's a lie. That's correct. June is 2 months away, and it's planned to run for a week, starting June 13th, and incorporate 3 days of broadcast content followed by a consumer experience powered by an official E3 app. Again, none of this right here is official. These are just plans that the ESA has. So we're about 2 months and change away from E3. They've got to announce their plans before the end of this month, ideally. I imagine they would announce the plans maybe in like 2 weeks or so. That way people can, start making their plans for it and everything like that. So we'll be finding out soon what their official plans are. I think they're trying to do the best that they can in the environment that we're in. Honestly. And also, I forgot, there's one more piece here in the article, because there's a six-figure sum to join E3 for the developers and publishers. But the article here says that the ESA has reduced its asking prices by a third since the start of last year, and the broadcast time offered reflects this. But multiple publishing sources told VGC they expected to provide some content for the digital E3 event as a show of support for the ESA, but that they would ultimately reserve their main reveals for separate independent digital events like those held last year. So it's again, after last year, like E3 has been facing issues for some time now, in terms of like relevancy and do we still need it and all, especially in a day where we're getting more and more digital events and everything. The pandemic last year accelerated that a whole lot, because then you have Sony already backed out of E3 the year before that. You had Nintendo doing their Nintendo Directs, and then this is all right, Ubisoft's doing their own event, EA's doing their own event. So, and then Microsoft did their own event last year. So you're going to have more companies saying, we can just do our own things now. And it's sad to see E3 in the state that it's in, because it holds a lot of importance to me, just as someone growing up looking at E3.
Yeah.
So I want it to survive. I want it to thrive. I want it to be great. In this day and age, though, it's just really tough. And there's really, like I said, they're trying to do whatever they can to keep it afloat, keep it relevant, and keep people interested and excited for it.
Yeah, no, I really hope that they do, because I reckon I've watched E3 live every year for the past at least decade, like taking weeks off work, making sure that like I wasn't on holiday at the time. Like this is the best week of the year for me. Like, which again might be kind of sad, but hey ho. But no, like seriously, this is the week I look forward to the most every year, because it's the time we find out what Xbox is up to, what PlayStation is up to, what whoever is up to. It's the year that we get all these game announcements. It's the year that over the past couple of years, Microsoft have announced a couple of cool like acquisitions at E3. So it's definitely something that I really, really, really hope they continue to do, because like I say, this is the week of the year that I am always most excited for.
Yeah. We'll be finding out more information very soon, though. So keep your eyes and ears open for all the, all the channels and everything, because we'll be talking about it as the news comes on out. Well, now we're going to move on to our final big story of the week, which is a couple smaller stories making one story. And it comes from this CDPR strategy update that happened earlier this week. There's a video for it on YouTube. I haven't watched the video. I have not had the time to watch the video, but different outlets have talked about the main key points from this strategy update. So I have a couple different articles here. I grabbed them all from IGN because they were all just like nice and succinct to the point. So CDPR talked about a couple things in regards to what they're going to do with their business and how they're going to change their strategy going forward in the future when it comes to developing games, marketing the games, what their plans are for anything that's already been announced, things like that. So first bit of news from this strategy update that we have is that Cyberpunk 2077's multiplayer is either possibly delayed or canceled, or something's going on with it. And we're not quite sure what, since CDPR hasn't really specified what, but Rebecca Valentine here at IGN has an article about it saying Cyberpunk 2077 was supposed to get a multiplayer mode at some point, though not at most recent check-in, likely not until 2022 or beyond. But now it's possible we may not see this mode at all, or at least CD Projekt is being a bit cagey about how or when it might be implemented in the future. In a strategy update from CD Projekt today, President Adam Kaczynski said the studio was adjusting its strategy around online experiences in its games, saying it was focusing on bringing online into all its franchises one day and working on an online technology that can be integrated into all of its games. But he continued that means a change of some sort to how Cyberpunk 2077's planned multiplayer mode might be implemented. As Kaczynski put it, quote, previously we hinted that our next AAA would be a multiplayer Cyberpunk game, but we have decided to reconsider this plan given our new, more systemic and agile approach Instead of primarily focusing on one big online experience or game, we are focusing on bringing online into all of our franchises one day, end quote. So what does this mean to you exactly, Keiran? Because it is actually it's very confusing. And it's very vague what they're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, it's what CDPR do best is not, talk about the thing they're trying to talk about. But, I mean, I hope Cyberpunk's multiplayer isn't cancelled. I was looking forward to that. Like, being able to drive around Night City with my friend. Yes, please. But, I mean, The Witcher doesn't need multiplayer. I really want to make that clear if anyone from CDPR is watching. But The Witcher doesn't need multiplayer. It's perfectly fine as a single-player game. You have Gwent. Please don't put multiplayer in The Witcher. In terms of them, like, rethinking everything to make all their games multiplayer, I don't know if that's necessarily the best move. I mean, we've talked about this in the podcast before.
Whoa. He got dropped. Ah, there you are. You're back.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, you're muted.
Is that better?
Okay, now I can hear you. You good?
Yeah, I have no idea what the hell happened.
That was interesting. Yeah, you were like super laggy and pixelated there as well, like in the lead up to that drop.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just saying. Yeah, I don't think all of CDPR's games need multiplayer. I mean, we talked about it on the podcast. I can't remember how long ago. But like we both said not every game needs multiplayer. It was when we were talking about Dragon Age dropping multiplayer. Is that not every game needs multiplayer. Some games are better off just being single player, like The Witcher. So them like canceling, delaying, whatever their Cyberpunk multiplayer game or Cyberpunk multiplayer mode, whatever it was gonna be, I'm not super thrilled about that decision. I feel like they could have done that and also done what they're doing now at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't excited for a Cyberpunk multiplayer because I had no idea what it would even be. So I'm like, okay, the idea is interesting. Once I see what it is, then I will let my excitement like start to rise. Everything surrounding the game has kind of tempered that entirely anyway. And I actually forgot that they were even working on a multiplayer for it. And I'm sure that the response to the game itself has like totally pushed back any multiplayer conversations over that CDPR. They're probably like, yeah, that is way on the back burner now. It might be at least a year before we even see that, whatever that is. But yeah, like the statement for this is so weird and so vague that I don't even really know what to make of it. We hinted that our next AAA would be a multiplayer Cyberpunk game, but we're reconsidering that plan given our new systemic and more agile approach. Instead of primarily focusing on one big online experience or game, we're focusing on bringing online into all our franchises one day. So I'm guessing they were saying that originally this was going to be the one big online thing, but now they're trying to bring it to everything. So I guess this is still happening, but it's not just happening to this one.
Yeah, I mean, well, if I remember correctly, so the Cyberpunk like online version was going to be a standalone game. I don't think it was going to be a game mode within 2077. I think it was going to be a standalone thing. But I mean, I'll say it again. There are certain games like The Witcher that do not need multiplayer. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, that one doesn't. Cyberpunk, it'd be fun if it had it, but Witcher definitely doesn't need it. But that's just part of the news that came from the strategy update. The next bit, which we can actually talk about this right now, we'll go to the third bullet here on the doc, Keiran. CDPR is talking about saying that they are going to be developing Witcher and Cyberpunk AAA games simultaneously starting next year. This goes into their more agile working approach, development approach that they were talking about in the previous article. Again, here at IGN by Rebecca Valentine, saying, after a long drawn-out development for Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt is preparing to shift gears for future AAA projects and work on games in both the Witcher and Cyberpunk franchises simultaneously beginning in 2022. During a strategy update presentation today, CD Projekt outlined how it's going to achieve its goals to develop 2 AAA games and 2 different franchises simultaneously, saying it intends to staff up over the next year and have development teams working on both projects at once, including leads. It's also planning to adjust the capabilities of its internal game engine to allow features like NPC routines and player character control to be adapted in multiple games at once. And then we have here, quote, saying, quote, we want to be sure that we can work with 2 global brands at the same time while ensuring top quality of our products, said CTO Powell Zawandny, I believe is how that's pronounced. We emphasize technological advancements, and we want to set up versatile teams which combine various specializations and competencies. These teams will be further assisted by a cross-project group of experts who, owing to their expertise, can contribute to key aspects of development. All these changes aim to enable us to work on multiple AAA games and expansions in parallel, starting in 2022, end quote. So, again, that kind of goes in hand in hand with what they're saying about having a more agile development approach and wanting, instead of doing one big online thing, doing something that works for all their games. If they're trying to make 2 big AAA games of both their franchises at the same time, it just makes sense. Hey, let's not work on this one giant thing. Let's try and incorporate things in all our games. Just making better use of your time and resources. Does this get you excited, Keiran, for CDPR's future? Knowing that, hey, we could possibly get another game in each of these franchises much sooner than initially thought.
I mean, absolutely. I love The Witcher. The Witcher 3 is in my top 10 games that I've ever played. I'm very excited for the next gen version. I enjoyed Cyberpunk. It's not in my top 10, but, it's a fairly solid game overall. I would be very excited to get another installment in either one of those franchises as soon as possible. Please, if you need to, delay them. Just throwing that out there. But I mean, when I read this initially, I was like, surely after the whole Cyberpunk thing, I would be making smaller teams, not bigger ones. Because, I mean, if Cyberpunk has taught us anything, I think we had mentioned this on the podcast before. If not, it was off air. But it's not that they're not good. They're not good at working with big teams. They just haven't done it before. They never had a team as big as the one that worked on Cyberpunk, and they might not be used to managing a team of that size, which is why Cyberpunk. Well, one of the reasons why Cyberpunk came out the way that it did. So making a bigger team to work on 2 projects at the same time rather than focusing on one seems a little bit ambitious right now.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, given what happened with Cyberpunk, it's cause for, I guess, trepidation. You could look at it and be like, all right, we'll see what actually comes of this. Like, we're not going to get too excited about this just yet. It's exciting in the sense that we won't have to wait as long for the next Cyberpunk game or the next Witcher game. It's exciting to know, like, all right, they will be working on those at the same time, which is good. And I'm sure that, like, whatever team is working on Cyberpunk won't be, also working on Witcher stuff at the same time. Like, each of those teams will be off doing their own thing. And because of that, like, there might be some bleed over. So they're like, hey, help me out with this. Hey, help me out with that. How do you do this, that, sharing information, so on and so forth. Because of that, their teams will, by nature, just be smaller since things are split down the middle now, in a sense. So I would imagine that since teams are smaller, things might be a bit more focused or easier. And I imagine that given the reception to Cyberpunk, and, not just its bugs, but also it's like some of the issues that people have with the game in terms of like just features and the way things were implemented at all. I imagine that whether it be for the next Witcher or maybe the next Cyberpunk, they will shrink the scope of what it is they want to do. Or if they don't shrink the scope, they will have a better idea and be able to better manage the scope of their game and say, okay, this is what we want to do. How do we actually implement this well, the correct way, without breaking everything?
Yeah.
So I just hope, that whatever they do, that it's done well, that the teams are managed well, that they're taken care of properly, that they're not worked to death getting these games out, rushing them out to have them out in a good time frame or anything like that. Now, speaking of scope for titles and having things better handled and better managed and all, CDPR also says that they're gonna do better with their marketing in the future. Now, this is also, again, IGN, Matt Kim over here, saying CD Projekt is taking the lessons from Cyberpunk 2077's long marketing campaign to heart. In a new strategy presentation, CD Projekt is promising multiple changes to the way it markets future games, including focusing on shorter marketing campaigns and better manage expectations for what the game will look like at launch. Now, obviously, this is all this is definitely a response to Cyberpunk 2077 and just the criticisms that it's received for the way that they didn't show any last gen console footage. And when they did show PlayStation 4 and Xbox One footage, it was running backwards compatible on Series X and PS5. And even that was not even really indicative of what was going to be released given at launch when the games came out. Cause people playing them at launch, they still weren't necessarily the best on those consoles. So there's that. And then, I guess some features and stuff that might have gotten cut out over time, which that's just a part of game development. Things get cut as time goes on. But also it's like the wording that they used over time throughout the game's life cycle. Like they would talk about how the open world, how Night City is like the next step in open world games. It's like an evolution of the open world. And, the way they talked about life paths, how the life paths in the game really don't matter. They don't make a difference. They're kind of just window dressing for the first 30 minutes. And that's very disappointing. And it's like certain things, like in the article here, they kind of point out 24-day NPC cycles and other gameplay elements, those things like that, it makes sense. They get dropped as the game gets worked on, stuff like that. But when you got to talk up your game in a certain way over the years, you help set your expectations to be so high. You cause people to get super excited. Now, granted, also fans do this themselves too. I'm not absolving the fans of anything. Fans overhype themselves for a lot of things. CD Projekts didn't help the matter though, with any of their marketing. No. So it's very good that they're going to be better managing it. And in the article here, they say, as this will change according to all this will change according to CD Projekt. Marketing campaigns will be much shorter, and the company says it will wait until its games are closer to launch, quote, before showing things like trailers, demos, or going in depth about mechanics, end quote. CD Projekt also says, quote, when campaigns do start, we aim to properly manage expectations across all platforms. This means focusing communication on polished game footage, not concepts, end quote, and showcase game footage on all platforms they will be released on. The company says it will still release teasers early in the game's development, quote, if it makes sense, end quote, but the actual marketing campaign won't kick off until much closer to launch. Similar to, how Bethesda did it with Fallout 4. It was announced at E3 and then released 5-6 months later, which was just when that happened, everyone was just like, whoa, what? Really? And kind of set a precedent. We're like, hey, this is what you should do. This is how people should announce their games. Yeah. So yeah, what do you think of this? What do you take away from that?
I mean, it's good that they're hopefully gonna not show off a huge amount of their game, years out from when it's going to be launching. They're going to keep things kind of close to the chest until it's, closer to being done. I really hope this means that they're going to be a lot more transparent as well. Like leading up to the launch of Cyberpunk. I mean, we've talked about this I don't know how many times now, but they didn't show anything for the PS4 or Xbox One versions because it didn't work. Like it was unplayable. I mean, if you want to go and find proof of that, go and watch IGN's review of the Xbox One PS4 version. I think they gave it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really hope they're going to be more transparent in terms of, I mean, they say here they are going to be, but whether that comes to light or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I would hope that after this whole Cyberpunk thing, they've learned their lesson and they're going to start being a little more consumer focused.
Yeah, I'm very sure they learned their lesson real hard. They got kicked off the PlayStation Store. They got like lawsuits sent their way, like just utterly trash in terms of console review scores, articles being written about them, putting out public apologies. They more than learned their lesson. Like, hey, we messed up here bad, and this was not okay. Now, I mean, people are already gonna take their word with a grain of salt with whatever game comes next. They're gonna be like, we're gonna wait and see on this until the game comes out. Like, no matter what they say, like, all right, this is what our game is. This is it on this console. This is how it looks right now. And even in the lead up, they always had on their videos, work in progress. They had it on there the entire time. Yeah. But even still, like you could be sure they're gonna like heavily push that work in progress. This is what it looks like now. This is what our plans are for it now, so on and so forth. They're going to be very careful with what they say, but everyone is still going to keep a very close eye on them, for sure, over the next whatever projects they're working on. And they might have help with their next projects because they also acquired Canadian development studio Digital Scapes. Also, again, from IGN by Matt Purslow. Digital Scapes, based in Vancouver, has been working with CD Projekt for 3 years during the production of Cyberpunk 2077. The studio will become CD Projekt Red Vancouver and join the developer's portfolio of teams that includes the 3 existing ones based in Warsaw, Krakow, and Wrocław. I believe I pronounced those correctly. We have a statement here from Paweł Zawodny, head of production and CTO at CDPR, saying, quote, "We believe that the hugely talented Digital Scapes crew is the perfect foundation upon which to build a wider CD Projekt Red Vancouver team." End quote. And then Marcin Chady, the head of the Vancouver team, said, quote, "This is a great opportunity for Canadian developers to get involved with CD Projekt Red's incredible IP and for CD Projekt Red to tap into Canada's deep talent pool and game-making craft," end quote. I mean, another studio that's already been working with them on this game that had a very rocky launch. I'm sure that this is going to just be good for CD Projekt Red. They have more people to help them out now on these projects, even if they're more so just like in a support role, not like in a major leading role in any type of way.
Yeah.
Any support is good support,
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good for CD Projekt Red. It's good for Digital Scapes. I'm sure they'll make very good things together. Yeah.
But that's everything from the CDPR strategy update. Keiran, you got any final takeaways, final thoughts on this update that they've given us?
I don't think so. Just that I am excited to see what they announce and come out with in the future. I know I've sounded kind of cynical during this, but I do still enjoy CDPR's games. I'm still very much looking forward to the next gen version of The Witcher that should be coming out hopefully later on this year. So I'm still very much a fan of the work, even though they have had a rocky few months, but I'm excited to see what they come out with in the future, and I will continue to follow them.
Yeah, same here. I know I've been hard on CDPR with everything regarding Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I liked the game. I thought it was good, not great. There's potential there for it to be a great game, but it's on console at the least. It's bogged down by like not just the technical issues, but like the game itself. They're just design issues and things of the game where I'm just like, this lacks. This isn't as good as it could be. Why is this like that? So on and so forth. So for me, I think the game is like as of now, it's like a good 7.5. When it could be like an 8 at best for me. But even with all that in mind, still, like, I still did enjoy my time with the game. I did still like the game overall. And, I do want to see what they do next with Witcher, Cyberpunk, whatever it may be. I just hope that they have truly taken heed of all the things that everyone has said, internalize all the lessons that they've learned, and come back better and stronger than ever when we see them with their next project. Now, that's it for all the news this week. We're going to get into real quickly what we've been playing this week. Keiran, you got one thing, and you and I both share this one thing. So I'll let you lead off with it, and then I'll head on over to mine.
We're going to be getting to yours real quick. I really don't have a lot to say about this. I continue my playthrough of Skyrim, still enjoying it. I'm still really, really loving this 60 frames a second. Makes the game run a hell of a lot smoother and look a lot better. I've just started the Dark Brotherhood, so I'm a bit into the game now. I'll report back when I have more to say.
Well, I've also been playing Skyrim. Well, I played Skyrim for like maybe 2-ish hours this week, like 2-3 hours this week, because I was like, I kind of want to jump into it. And also I was like, I want to take advantage of the 60 FPS mod that's on PS5. So I was playing in a 60 FPS too for the very first time. And like you said, it makes the gameplay so much better. It feels so good playing it like that. But yeah, I also didn't realize that my game time is like 75 hours or so, and I am not done with the main story at all. I think my next quest is I think the next main story quest is to find an Elder Scroll, I think. Because I know I talked to like the dragon leader of the Greybeards. So I think the next thing I have to do is find an Elder Scroll. And I don't know like where in the terms of the main plot, main quest line that falls. But it really doesn't feel like I've done a whole lot in terms of the main story. But I've spent a whole lot of time in that game. So yeah, like what I was doing, which is what I always do when I play Skyrim, or what I like to do is like when I have a quest, I like to just walk there. Because when you play Skyrim, even if you think you've seen everything along the way, there's always something that you have not discovered. Like there's always, whenever you're walking on the compass, there'll be like something else that's like not filled in. Like, oh, I didn't discover that. Let me go to see what that is. So I like to just walk across the map. So I was walking from Winterhold, Windhelm, I think is the name of the first town that you, like the first city that you come across in the game, where you have your home, Breeze home, that place. So I walked from there, and I was going to do some mission. I forgot what it was. I think it was like reforging the Galder amulet, I think is what it was. So I'm walking across the map, and I didn't even make it to the destination. I didn't make it there. I came across caves and other things that I was doing, bandit outposts and stuff, was taking them out and everything. I lost Lydia along the way, like not died, but like lost her because she just couldn't follow my pathings, which happens all the time. So it's like, I don't know where you went. But man, Skyrim is such a great game.
It really is.
Like I don't play many Bethesda games. Like I loved Fallout 4 when I played it. And it's a game just like Skyrim where like I get into the world and I just like to walk around and explore it. I don't know what it is about Bethesda games, but their worlds, you just feel lived in them. Once you like step foot in it, you start walking around, you're like, oh my gosh, you just feel like you are in it. And it's just massive and amazing and so beautiful. I mean, granted, the game's 10 years old, but gonna be 10 years old this year, but like game still looks pretty good. The world itself still looks amazing. It's crazy to be in. And that's what I say whenever I say like Breath of the Wild. Everyone talks about how Breath of the Wild begs for you to explore it and everything like that. I don't feel that same way like I do when I play Skyrim or when I played Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. Like when I play Breath of the Wild, I'm like, granted, I've only played for about 5 hours, but I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go this way, maybe, But nothing is like, I don't feel that pull of exploration like I do in Skyrim, where I'm like, I just want to walk this way. And whatever I find, I'll just go to it and see what it is and stuff. Like, even it's just, man, it was just such a good time playing that. And I actually kind of started the Dark Brotherhood as well when I played, because I normally don't go to sleep when I play Skyrim. I just kind of like walk around, do my thing.
Yeah.
But when I was like, all right, I'm going to stop my playthrough, I said, all right, I went back to my house. I put some stuff in my chest. I was like, all right, I'll go to sleep and then I'll save. I went to sleep, woke up, and I'm like, that's a, wow. I wonder how that body got glitched there. But then I realized, no, there's a person sitting there. Wait, what? Huh? What's happening? Where am I? Is this
my house?
I was like, is this my home? I don't think this is my home. So then she was like, yeah, you killed a person. That was our kill, though. You owe us. I was just like, oh, are you Dark Brotherhood? Did I mess up? Who did you choose?
I always choose the middle one.
Oh, you choose the woman? I chose the Khajiit. I was like, you sound like the bad guy, so I'll take you out. And I was like, all right, did I do it right? She said, no. It doesn't matter. You just did what I told you to do. So you're working for me now. Come join us. And I was like, oh, so this is where we are, huh? So yeah, I saved right after that. I was like, this is a very interesting place to leave things. Okay. So yeah, played that for a bit. I'm definitely going to go back to that sometime soon. Like I said, I played Breath of the Wild this week. Well, actually, I didn't say that, but I did play Breath of the Wild this week for all of 30 minutes at work during my lunch break. Because I intend to now try and play that game at least some during the week while I'm at work during my lunch break. So I can start making some progress in it because I want to play it this year. Yeah. I honestly really did not get far. Like, I'm working towards finding Impa. I was in the Dual Peaks, that area. So I was like just literally following the path. I found the farm, went to the farm, or like talked to people at the farm, got one of the side quests there, and then kept on going. I got a horse. I did get a horse. I found a random horse. I just hopped on it. And I was like, yeah, got myself a horse. And then I did a shrine. But I really didn't do much with it. But I do intend to try and play that game more frequently now so I can make some progress through that. Kingdom Hearts 2, knocked that out over the past weekend. Finished it on the game's 15th anniversary, which was this past Sunday. Happy birthday to Kingdom Hearts 2. Love that game. Still get emotional, like in a good way, whenever I see that ending. Final Fantasy X, still working on that, cracking through that. I am nearing the end of the game. I know that for sure. We got to Bavel. No. Yeah, we got to Bavel last night. We are in the Via Purifico, trying to pronounce it correctly. So we have all the story summons. After this, there's just 1, 2, 3 story areas, like 3 more regions for us to go through. And then it's like the big boss fight at the end. So the game may not be done next week. It might be. If it's not done next week, it will be very close to being done by the time we record next week. Most likely. So that's that. And then Persona 5 Strikers. I finally, after a month, was able to go back to that game. Granted, I played for maybe 3 hours this week. Not too much time. I'm going to play that game hard this weekend and this coming week. But man, it was actually tough because I had to, when I last stopped playing it, I was actually starting to really get into the combat. And now that since it's been a month, I had to re-get myself into the game's combat and how it all works and how to like be good at it and stuff. But I'm getting back into the groove of it. I, of course, love the characters. I've understood in this like month-long break, I've understood some things about the story more. So now where we are, I'm like, all right, I get where certain things are. I get how things work. I'm all on board for the ride now. So yeah, would I say I like it as much as Royal? No, it's a very different game. But I do like the game a lot. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with it. So I'm looking forward to continuing it.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about that game. I'm sure it has been quite the wait to get back to it, considering how excited you are playing Persona.
Yeah, that Persona 5 Royal turned me into a Persona stan hard. All right, now we're gonna do our question of the episode this week. This week's question is: what are some of your favorite gaming related April Fool's pranks? Obviously, a few days ago was April Fool's Day. And as always, every year, well, except for last year, everyone kind of agreed last year, no April Fool stuff. We're not doing it in 2020.
Yeah.
But every year, aside from 2020, April Fool's Day comes around, and gaming companies and people in the gaming industry like to jump in on it with their own little things. So wanted to ask the question, what are some of our favorite gaming April Fool's pranks that we've seen over the years? So we each have 4 here. I'll do one. Keiran, you do one. Bounce back and forth.
Sure.
At the first one that came to mind, it always comes to mind for me, which is it's my favorite one, but I hate it so much because it's my favorite one. It's IGN's Legend of Zelda movie trailer. They dropped this. I think it was 2008 when they dropped this, and this looked so good and so real that it's like, why is this not a thing? It needs to be a thing, and I'm mad it's not a thing. But it looks so cool. If you have not seen it, go check it out on YouTube. It's somewhere. Legend of Zelda movie trailer, IGN. It's awesome.
Yeah, I am. I hadn't seen that, so I watched it before we started recording today. I want that to be a real movie. It looks really good. First one on my list is one that happened this year. Remedy released Control, but on the PlayStation 1, or with PS1 graphics. I didn't watch all of it. I watched maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, but it looks like a PS1 game. It looks like Control, but with PS1 graphics. And honestly, I would play that game. It looks a lot better than you would think.
Yeah, I saw a little snippet of it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I was like, that actually looks cool. It's cool that they did that. My second one it's again another IGN one, because these just kind of came to mind. And I was also looking down on the list, but these two came to mind for sure. When Titanfall 1 first came out, I think it was that same year or the year after, they for April Fools, they put Optimus Prime in Titanfall and made it seem like he was gonna be like a Titan in the game. So they made like a whole trailer for it and everything, did like a fake voice for Optimus Prime and all. It's one of those things where you see it, you're like, okay, no, this is definitely fake. It's not real, it's fake, but they make it look real enough. But it's one of those things where you're like, I kind of want that. Respawn EA, can you like make that happen, please? It was cool. It was cool.
I definitely want that. I would play the hell out of Optimus Prime in Titanfall.
Maybe that'll happen in Titanfall 3.
I hope so. I really do. I mean, to be fair, I just really hope we get Titanfall 3.
I honestly feel like you have a better chance of Optimus Prime popping up in Fortnite.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Didn't he already pop up in Fortnite? I'm sure Optimus Prime has been in Fortnite.
I don't think so, but I mean, I wouldn't put it past them for that to have happened.
I am sure. Okay. Nope. Apparently I might be wrong.
I didn't think so.
Weird. I would have bet money that I saw him in Fortnite. Anyway.
How much you would have bet it happens sometime this year?
This year, I don't know. Maybe when the next hit 5-star Transformers movie comes out.
I'm gonna say this year solely for the fact that no one would have thought that we would have seen Master Chief, Kratos, and all those crazy IPs pop up last year. So I'm just gonna say this year and just hope I actually end up winning this one.
My next one is Ubisoft's Rabbids in For Honor. I think this was last year, if I remember correctly. Year before. I didn't play this because I don't play For Honor. I tried it and I'm really bad at it, so I didn't try it again. But I saw footage of this. It looked really funny. Just them like walking about with like Viking helmets on or like a massive greatsword. It was very, very comedic.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that one, like seeing that. I was like, oh, you guys are funny. Of course you guys. Like, normally the rabbits can be a bit annoying, but you know what? That was actually a funny use of them. Very good use of them.
Yeah.
My third one here, it's a minor one, but always every year, whenever it's April Fool's, or at least the past couple years, I know this, they've been doing this. Call of Duty will change the names of the playlists on April Fool's Day. So like Team Deathmatch will have a different name. Like everything just has a different name, and they're all silly names. Like if you read them, you might get what it's supposed to be. Like, oh, this is. Got it. Okay. It's a little thing. But if you play Call of Duty like I do, it's like, okay, it's a nice little fun way to, feel part of it. just like feel some little holiday spirit.
My next one is you were able to play as Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man in separate years on Google Maps. If you were looking at like an overhead view of somewhere, you could just transform it to Pac-Man and start going along the streets, and you would get chased by the four ghosts. It was pretty funny.
I remember that. I don't think I did it, but I remember that. Is Zerg Rush on Google April Fool's thing or no?
I can't remember. I can't
remember either. Okay. Because I wanted to put that on my list, but I couldn't remember if it was April Fool's or not, and I didn't think it was.
No, I don't think it is either.
Interesting. The Pac-Man one is cool though. My last one here is from this year, and I kept seeing snippets of it, but I didn't watch the full thing until before we recorded. Bloodborne Kart. Now it's like PS1 N64 like type graphics, and like they even like have like different music for like edited music to make it seem like it's off the time. Someone made like a whole cart, like a whole racetrack and everything. And it's like the hunter from Bloodborne in a little cart racing against someone else. It is actually it's funny. It's funny to see that someone went through all this effort for a meme, for a joke. But it's cool. I like it. It's funny.
Is it bad? I kind of want to play Bloodborne Kart.
Is it? No, because a lot of people were saying the same thing on Twitter. They're like, I want this. Can we get this, please?
What if the random tangent, what if the next DLC character for Smash is the Bloodborne Slayer?
I feel like that would be insane. Like everyone's saying, let's get Kratos in Smash. Let's get Nathan Drake in Smash. Let's get Crash in Smash. If we got the Hunter from Bloodborne, that would be the most left field PlayStation choice to pop up. Because like no one would have expected it.
No, of course they wouldn't.
But I mean, like, we got Bayonetta in there, and she's a rated M character. Who's to say we can't get the Hunter from Bloodborne in there?
Yeah.
He might be a bit too graphic, but I mean, Bayonetta's there, so...
Yeah. You could get Pyramid Head.
That might be a bit too much now. That might be a bit too much of a stretch.
Maybe. My last one is the Hyperion dog walking service, which is approved by Handsome Jack. Borderlands 2 is my favorite game. Well, it used to be my favorite game ever. I'm so used to saying that it's my favorite game ever that I still sometimes slip up and say it. But no, used to be my favorite game ever. But as much as I love Handsome Jack, and hands down, he is, in my opinion, the best video game villain ever. I doubt he would get much business with his dog walking service.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like he would have to show me proof that like he's actually going to take care of them. Like, he had to show me that he will care for them the way he cares for what was the unicorn's name? Like
Butt
Unicorn or Butt Stallion. Yeah. He has to show me he would care for my dog as much as he cares for Butt Stallion. And if he would, then okay, maybe I will let my dog be in your Hyperion dog walking service. But maybe not. Not my first choice.
Maybe not.
April Fools, I love it. Gaming and like the way industries and companies like jump in on the fun every year. It's always cool. It's cool to see. But definitely let us know some of your favorite gaming related April Fools pranks that either you've seen over the years or even ones that you've participated in over the years. Leave us, let us know in the comment section. Send us messages on Twitter or Instagram, letting us know what your favorites were. And always remember, you can send us questions for a question of the episode to our Twitter or Instagram at P2WinGame. Submit a question. We can read it on the show, have a conversation about it. It could be a fun time. But with all of that, that's going to wrap up this episode 3 of the Play to Win podcast. Remember, as I just said, follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at P2WinGame. Subscribe to us here on YouTube and other other podcast services. I'm getting my words all mixed up. Subscribe to us everywhere. Leave comments, leave reviews, turn notifications on so you know when videos go live. That way you'll be the first one to see them. All that also helps us out as well. Share the show with anybody that you think would enjoy it. And yeah, spread the love, people. Spread the love. Be kind to each other. Keiran, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Badlynet, excuse me, BADLYNET, all one word. I post on some of those platforms. If you want to go to the platform I'm most active on, head over to Twitter. You'll see my campaign to get Micro Center to open a store in Scotland. I think I'm on day 6. Today will be day 66.
I'm amazed at your commitment to this.
I am not stopping. Amazed. I'm going for the full 365.
What happens when you hit 365 and what if nothing happens? Then what?
I don't know. I'll just be like, no, well, that was a waste of a year.
I thought you might have gone for a full second year, but maybe he will.
No.
Maybe I'll change my mind.
I mean, like you can only harass a company so much before they get like restraining orders and lawyers involved.
Fair, I guess. I mean, if you're being peaceful, maybe they won't. You're being peaceful and funny about it.
Yeah.
But I see your point. Maybe just 1 year and leave it at that. We'll see where things are come the end of the 365.
Yeah. Well, Walmart, I'm coming for you next.
Wait, you don't have a Walmart there?
Nope.
Wow, I thought they'd be over there.
Well, I mean, okay. Technically, yes, because Walmart owns a chain of UK supermarkets called Asda, but we don't have any Walmart stores. In fact, no, Best Buy. I'm coming for Best Buy next, actually.
That might be actually a bit more helpful for you. Yeah. We'll see about that one. So yeah, if you want to join Keiran and his plight on to get what's the name of the store? Micro Center over there in the UK. Go follow him over on Twitter. Help him out. Support his tweets, like them, retweet them, send them to the right folks. You can follow me over on Twitter at Tyler Miller 2496. I tweet about game related stuff, anime, shows, stuff like that. I like and retweet funny stuff too. So give me a follow over there, chat with me. I'm always open to conversations. Thank you all so very much for listening and watching, and we will see you again next week.
See you later.